This is Radio Plasma, a space dedicated to the exchange of ideas, conversations, stories, music, performances, and randomness. Listen at radioplasma.com. Also, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Play, TuneIn, and Stitcher.
Welcome to Radio Plasma. I'm Johan Vega, and here we are in the Readywipe Gallery on Main Street in Holyoke. And today is a very important day to celebrate, to remember, and to honor. And that's why we are here in this beautiful ofrenda, celebrating el Día de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. And I want to welcome Jason Montgomery, who is one of the two most important people involved in the creation of this beautiful way to celebrate el Día de los Muertos. Jason, thank you.
Thank you. Hola, hoka. Hi, everybody. Again, I'm Jason Montgomery from Attack Bear Press. Thank you for coming out and covering this. You were here the other night when we had the opening reception with Diane Alvarez and Maria Jose Jimenez was reading, and the community was here reading and kind of sharing the first day of Day of the Dead, Todos Santos, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, it's been a really interesting journey. Myself and Neftalí Duran came together actually 2 years ago. 2 years ago, when we first started kind of talking about Day of the Dead here in Western Massachusetts, and you were generous enough to bring us all together. I think it was I wasn't there for the group talk, but yeah, we had
before we had the opportunity of get your
the individual talk between you and I, and unfortunately I had to run off to California for the next day. But that was really the moment that kind of started this conversation between a few different people here in our community about this holiday, about its representation here in Western Massachusetts, and really kind of sparked us to say we wanted to do something that was from us but for everyone. And so Neff and I had talked about a few months ago and said, he said, I'm going to start growing some flowers for an ofrenda. Like, do you think we can build it? Do you think we can do it? And I looked at him and I said, probably not, but sure, we'll try. And so we got together about 2 weeks ago. He had called me and said, I had just gotten back from being at home in the Imperial Valley in Los Angeles. And he said, well, we're going to do this. And so we kind of rallied the troops to pull it together. And I think that now more than ever, it feels very vital that we had this opportunity to create this space. And initially, I think we had, when we first kind of connected 2 weeks ago and started the process, initially, we were talking about it being just for people of Mexican-American descent, people of Chicano descent, people of that kind of ethnic and cultural background. And then it stretched out and became something much bigger than that. Mm-hmm. And we opened it to so many other people, and we saw so many other faces, and it became kind of this oddly healing moment that it's hard to explain how taking part in this. I keep telling people that I felt like I really needed this, and I really needed this moment of I had lost my grandfather about this time last year, and going through that process, and he was very much like the head of our family, the center of our family in so many ways, and we wanted to figure a way to bring him back in, and somehow through all of this process, at least for me, it's felt like he's been back in our life and in a larger, more tangible way. And I think that comes from the spirituality that is intrinsic in this. It's been an interesting kind of journey through this process.
Particularly when we are seeing something so colorful and vibrant and full of life in a celebration that, refers to the people who already departed in this journey. And it's beautiful to see how many people have been gathering here in this gallery to appreciate this work, to bring some memories of their own, sharing pictures and their own personal stories about the people who they already lost.
Yes. Well,
Especially when, like you said, it is no longer something that pertains only to the people who celebrate this in a traditional and regular way. People from Mexico, people from Mexican descent, people from Chicano background. It became something that belongs to everyone.
Yeah, and I think that it's a fine line between opening the door and inviting people in to take part, and people coming and taking. And what we saw over the last couple of years was as the popularity of the aesthetic of Day of the Dead became more and more mainstreamed, there was this kind of erasure of the actual spiritual meaning of Day of the Dead, and it varies. It varies from group to group. People of Mexican American descent, Chicanos like myself, we're a very diverse people. We come from a variety of different colonized groups, and each colonized group had their own belief structure, and that was kind of knitted together through this process. And so, saying we're going to construct an ofrenda and we're going to invite the community together is a way, I think, of claiming something, but also not feeling as though we're building walls around this thing. And it's that idea of who opens the door, who invites people in. And I feel like when Neff and I decided to do this, we wanted to definitely say, we want to produce something that honors the spirit and the idea of what this is, without trying to commodify it to become something that anyone can come and take a bite out of. And all I can say about that is that I feel like the community just responded so beautifully. It's been kind of incredible and an eye-opener how many different people, different races, different beliefs, different heritages, ethnic backgrounds have come and wanted to be respectful and engage it in the most respectful way possible. To the degree it's like, no, it's fun. We're supposed to be having fun here. There is a reverence to this, but like you can also smile. Like it's okay. Yeah. But that makes me feel like we've set out to do what we were trying to do, which is to say, come be a part of what we're doing, but learn about what we're doing. Talk about what we're doing. When we had the opening celebration, there were folks from a variety of different Latin American nations, a variety of different ethnic backgrounds who were here, and there was a sense of community in the room that I still can't shake. It's still haunting me. It's that spirit and that energy is still there. The family that was from Bolivia, yes, who has been going, like Bolivia and Chile and like all of these countries who are going through such upheaval right now, to be able to provide, a space where they can come and not be alone. To me was like, okay, this is why we've done this. This is why we've done this. But also the opportunity to educate people,
And not only educate, but also to keep learning from each other, which is what I feel 2 years ago we started.
Oh, yeah.
Because it all began by this almost confrontational arguing about this celebration should be done here the way it was proposed or not.
Yeah.
And it allowed this amazing way to learn about why Día de Muertos is so important in a very specific way for your own experience as a Chicano.
Yep.
How that represents, for myself, as a native of Mexico City, and in the case of Neftalí, being from Oaxaca, and more connected to the indigenous people of
Yes.
Mexico. It's a totally different perspective as well. And the three of them, plus when we had the point of view also from Diana Alvarez as a Chicana
Yeah.
from Texas, it became such a beautiful way to see this wide contrast of perspectives of one single celebration.
Yeah.
And then we had in here representation from Nicaragua, Guatemala, El Salvador, Colombia, Venezuela, Bolivia, Mexico, of
Yep.
course, and all our friends and even new people that we got the chance to meet in
Oh,
here
yeah.
for the first time from different backgrounds and culture from Europe and here in the US. So beautiful opportunity to be together.
Yes.
And to understand through the feeling of, yes, mourning, but at the same time celebration,
Yes.
without having to say that much, just being here together.
Yeah, and that ability to occupy this space as this diverse group of people, and to be able to experience it on kind of this equal playing field, for me, says more about our community than I think we give ourselves credit for. There was a moment where it was, I think you were here and we were closing up and we closed the doors and we got to experience it in the dark. And there was a spirit in the room that I can't shake. It was this wonderful celebration of life and of death and of rebirth and of change, and this moment that I felt like truly hopeful.
Yes.
That no matter what our differences are, we can move forward and we can continue to move forward. And after 2 years ago when we first got together, because there was a lot of conflict around this. I mean, there was, there was the idea that, who has ownership over this, who can experience this, who can utilize this, who can profit from this. And then it continued into the next year where we saw another group who was who was engaging in the same kind of appropriation, and that kind of like, no, we can create something and show people that like this is the basis, like this is the base, this is the foundation of what we've created, and this is what that meaning is. And this is a part of that stance we're going to take and say like, no, this is ours, and we all understand it to be ours in a different way, but come and take part. Let it be yours too, but be invited. That to me, there are so few opportunities to really have that moment.
And it was such a powerful moment of pure silence.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was ceremonial, it was deep, intense, but it was nothing to feel sad about. It was this moment of pure life where we could all feel it, share it, experience it, and embrace it.
Yeah. And for me, that was my favorite moment of all of this. And there's been a lot of great moments when we were building and kind of constructing not just the ofrenda, but also the room. There were people with their children here, and there were, like couples who had come down who we, didn't know, who had just been offered to come in, and people shucking corn, and there were saws and laughter, and, that the whole process of putting it together really creates a moment in the community that's not to be consumed, but that's to be felt. And yes, exactly. And for this belief, at least for me, when I first engaged in this particular ritual, I was in college, and because Chicanos, this wasn't necessarily something that you would do. At least, like, and I've said this before, I'll say it again, like all Saints Day or All Souls Day, you go to church, you go to mass with grandma, and then you go and you clean up a headstone, and if you're really good and you don't complain, you get an ice cream. But it was later when for myself and other people like me who share my cultural and ethnic background, as you're trying to explore and find your identity, there's that political aspect to it. And there is that idea that, we are doing this as a political statement. Mm-hmm. And this year, engaged in this process, it feels all the more relevant. It feels just all the more relevant to say, no, enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. We are here. We are part of this community. We engage and we speak differently, but we are still here. Mm-hmm. But then for me personally, the spiritual aspect became so important. That idea of connecting with the spirituality of it became so relevant. And I can't thank Nef enough for reaching out to me.
Yeah, we have to reiterate that. Maybe he's not here physically in front of the camera. Yeah. But Neftalí has been so important and the access of this whole event and this whole happening to be possible.
Oh yeah.
And if there is someone we need to thank to keep this going on after these 2 years of having interactions and different participation on events and activities and collaborations, is what Neftalí continues doing in defense of, and I'm trying to quoting him, the survival of the indigenous people.
Yeah, very much Mexico. So. Very much so. And, those of indigenous descent, throughout the Southwest, throughout Mexico, have been under assault since Europeans arrived. And for Nef to pull us all together and to say, we are here. This is our community. We can express ourselves, and to really kind of to be that thorn in your side that says you could stay home, but we could also get up and do this. I can't thank him enough, because it's easy. It's easy to be complacent. It's hard to be active. Mm-hmm. And so thank you, Nef. But there's also a lot of other people who have given to this. I was actually just looking for Julia. She walked that direction. Julia provided a majority of the materials and the flowers for this, and I think there's so many people that gave a little bit, and that's for me what felt so kind of incredible is, we reached out, we opened the door, and there were people. There were just people saying yes, here's 3 loaves of bread. Yes,
and also seeing right now all the people who are here and the people who have been coming through the night. Yeah. Seeing it, asking questions, appreciating it, enjoying it, having a moment. I think this is generating not only awareness, it's generating the actual experience of what it means.
Yes.
Día de Muertos.
Yes.
And why it's so important, and why, with all reason, as people who have been celebrating this for so long, it becomes part of our tradition and our culture. Yeah, it is upsetting to see people treating this with the lack of respect it deserves.
Yeah, and I was saying to you a few moments ago, I was driving out of town to go take my partner to the airport, and I was driving by and I saw 3 or 4 stores that all had, sugar skull papers on the windows, and this idea that the aesthetic has outstripped all meaning for so many people, and to be able to say no, the meaning is so much more interesting than the aesthetic. I mean, the aesthetic's beautiful, don't get me wrong, but the meaning is so fundamental. And I've had the pleasure of being here and opening up the gallery and welcoming people in, and there's been strangers, people I don't know, who have come in and left photographs and had a moment, and to watch this thing happen where you see people suddenly reconnect with the spirit of someone who's not really gone, but maybe they forgot them in that moment. That's a beautiful gift. I can't thank everyone who's stopped by enough, because to watch that and to be aware that just with our work and with our effort and with a little bit of dedication, we can provide that to our community. That's why we do what we do. I mean, so yeah.
So this is the ofrenda, the altar for the Day of the Dead. It's a celebration of life, a gathering where it is believed that all the departed can return for these 2 days,
Yes.
November 1st and 2nd.
Yes.
And according to Neftali's information, also in Oaxaca, he mentioned that it actually takes 7 days.
Yeah.
7 days also connected to the harvest and honoring the earth.
Yes.
And of course the food. This altar has, as you can see, pictures and many other elements. Of course, the flowers.
Yes.
Food is essential.
Yes.
And the representation of food, it is the dishes that used to be their favorites from the people who are no longer with us, because it's a homecoming.
Yeah.
People coming back to celebrate with family. So yeah, food has to be their favorite dishes, served, waiting for the spirits to come back. And we have a celebration as a family, as a community.
Yes.
And yes, of course, there will be moments where someone feels sad and misses the physical presence of that beloved person. But it's all about celebrating their life, their legacy, and that we are here.
Yes.
And that it's up to us to continue honoring that memory and making our lives a worth one, so that memory doesn't lose away and keeps adding for us to earn a place to be next to them when our time to join them comes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, you know, the food, the small items that were important to them. Like for my grandfather, he collected coins, and before he passed away, he gave both of my sons coins that I'm holding for them. So I brought those because I just know he would be like, well, where are they? I want to see them. I want to physically see them to make sure nothing happened to them. And that moment of like of connecting with that spirit and saying like, this would make him smile. Mm-hmm. This, I know this would bring him joy. Like that connection you can't get it. I don't know. You can't get it without working for it a little bit. Mm-hmm. And that's why this ritual is so important. It's why all ritual is so important. You know, it's why all ritual becomes so important. And, you know,
another image that is important to mention is in the center of this altar, a photograph of our beloved Marie Claire Girón-Tonsmeyer, who left us early in this year.
Yeah.
And she's here with her beautiful smile and that colorful attire. That is the best way to have her in our minds.
Yeah, and it keeps making me smile because I don't know how it got here, and I think that's like it's so wonderful that this spirit somehow got here, and I thought it was you, and then it wasn't you, it wasn't another member from the community, so I'm like, it's right that you just showed up. It's so right that you're just here.
But Marie Claire is here.
Yeah, that Marie Claire is here. It's beautiful, and you know, all of us lose people, or they move on, they walk on in their journey, and it's wonderful when they come back, and come back and keep coming back, and you know, I said it the other night, but I'll say it again. Like, for as much joy as our people bring us, we can't forget that there are those who are being forgotten right now. Like, who are very much being forgotten right now. You know, there are children in detention who are dying, and we're forgetting them. There's people every year in my hometown who are found out in the desert, and they're forgotten. And you know, we want to send up a little bit of a prayer and a little bit of the energy in this space to those people, because you know, someone needs to remember, and you know, and so. It feels good to be able to be those people, to be able to join together as those people. So, yeah.
Yeah, and also, while this has been for my whole life one of the most beloved celebrations in my culture, growing up, and even today, this is the first time that I am adding a memory of someone who I just lost 6 months ago. So, yeah, my brother is here as well.
It's beautiful.
Like you said, you needed this, and I thank you and Neftalí for doing it, because I needed this as well. No. And I think everyone in this room and the ones who have been here in this room for the past 2 days need it. to have something like this.
Well, we appreciate it. That's why I'm looking forward to doing this again and again and again and again. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Jason.
Thank you.
This is our celebration of Día de Muertos, the Day of the Dead, here in the Readywipe Gallery. And let's keep sharing the beauty of what it means to celebrate the memory of the ones who we love. That's universal. Doesn't matter where you come from. Doesn't matter how do you look. We all share those same emotions and feelings because we are all here alive. And sharing life is something that we should remember to keep doing every day. Sometimes it seems that we forget, and by doing that, we are not honoring properly the memory of the ones who already departed. So
Yes.
let's remember.
Thank you.
I'm Johan Rashi Vega. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching.